to Saturday Morning Retro, Episode 4. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/RatedG4Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man?
I'm doing well, Dan. It is raining right now while we're recording outside, which is a little sad, but at least we're indoors.
Wait, we're recording outside? I didn't know.
We're recording. I hope not. There'd be a lot of damaged equipment.
You just said we were recording outside.
No. I'm thankful we're not recording outside. That's what
you meant. It's raining outside as we record.
That's what I was saying. Yes, it's raining outside while we record.
That's what you meant.
No, we are outside recording and it's raining on us right now.
That would be. I mean, then we wouldn't have to wear a mask. We're outside.
I mean, sure. This is Saturday Morning Retro, the podcast where we take a trip back in time and delve into our backlogs. This is a show that we started recently, and we said, hey, we have all these games. And we have all these games that we really should play, right? Because they're in our collection, and the Saturday Morning Retro is the way to do that.
This is homage to all retro games, or what we say is retro, which is just games that aren't current gen, for the most part.
Yes, which is actually soon to be the 9th generation, the Switch, Xbox One, and PS4.
What's weird is the Switch the start of the new generation, or is it a part of the current gen?
Yeah, right? It kind of came out in the middle, just like the Wii U came out in the middle of a generation. It's I don't know how to answer that question.
That is because, okay, so let's say, for argument's sake, that we're good now, right? Like we get the new systems this year, and then next year we get a Super Switch. Which is super, just way better than this Switch. It's just HD, 4K, handheld, all of that.
Well, the question is, right?
And they call it the Super Switch, right? Just like the Super Nintendo.
As they should. They should call it the Super Switch.
That will be the start of gen, or is it still because it's Switch? It's the same as this gen.
Here's the thing, right? If it plays the same cartridges as the OG Switch, then it is a 0.5 kind of mid-generation upgrade like the Xbox One X or the PS4 Pro.
My argument to that, though, is the Wii could play GameCube games.
It was backwards compatible with the previous generation. I mean, the PS2 could play PS1 games, and the PS3, for a while, could play PS2 and PS1 games.
So what if they said, hey, this new Switch is 4K and 60 FPS. And it's the dock. We heard you. We listened. The dock that comes with it is a better dock, so it doesn't cover up the front screen.
Yeah.
And you can use it as sort of like a big DS if you want.
Right.
And it's backwards compatible with the original Switch games. If they use that wording,
that's the thing. If the games on the Switch Pro or Super Switch are not compatible with the regular Switch, then it's a new console.
Okay.
Then it's a new console. That's the line that I would draw. That's the other line that I would draw. It's just weird because the Switch came out not in lockstep with PlayStation and Xbox, right? Because Nintendo's doing their own thing, right?
If it's a faster if it's faster processor, you can get 4K visuals from your TV, because of the dock, and you need obviously this new Super Switch, and the games run better, and new games can't run on the old Switch, but old games can run on the new Switch. Then that is the line for me.
Yeah. I think we're in agreement there. Yeah. Right, because I mean, you're getting a new cartridge, basically, right? Here's a more enhanced cartridge that only works on this system, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think you can kind of think about it like the Game Boy Color, the games that are specific for the Game Boy Color versus the games that were made for the Game Boy that you can also play in the Game Boy Color, right? Because that was kind of a generation thing, right? That was 1989 versus 1996 or 7, whenever the Game Boy Color came out, maybe 98. I forget.
Right.
I would consider that a different generation. Yeah.
And we're getting off track.
Are
Let's
we?
reel this in.
It's the retro show. It's the retro show. We are on topic.
We on a Saturday morning retro show, we like to start the show by going back into gaming history. And August, I love this. I actually totally forgot about this. I mean, when this came out, I was like, I was like 5, to be honest.
Sure.
So I
was 6, 7. I was 7 when this came out in North America.
I probably didn't even get this game until I was like maybe 6 or 7 at the time. I know I didn't get it when I was 5. August 6th, 1986, the original Metroid was released in Japan, and 1 year later, August 15th, 1987, it was released in North America. So I have fond memories of Metroid, the original Metroid game.
Yeah.
I remember just trying to memorize the map because it didn't come with a map.
Yeah.
And I even tried to draw it out a little bit, like, just sort of freestyle it, but it was hard to play and draw at the same time. I think I played I couldn't play this game for more than an hour without my head exploding and trying to figure out where the hell I have to go as like an 8-year-old, right?
I think everybody had that same experience, right? It was kind of groundbreaking. It was very innovative. It wasn't the first, but I think it was really the one that was like, okay, this is the new genre. This is the genre-defining game, right? Metroid is like just on a whole nother world. Like,
people are killing me with this Metroidvania. It's a Metroid game.
I'm not gonna argue with you. You're right. The all the things that make up Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is the one that people say is like the next like watershed moment in gaming. They share all the same things, with the exception of there's like a level up system in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's really the only like difference. They kind of change it a little bit. The format's still the same. You get new items, you unlock new areas. It opens up the game world. You backtrack into old areas. Rinse, repeat. All right. But I love it. It's probably one of my favorite genres. The Metroid series, definitely like. You think I love Final Fantasy, Dan? I think I love Metroid almost as much as I love Final Fantasy. It is very close.
No way. No, I mean, I've known you for a long time, and I think I don't think anything can touch your love for Final Fantasy. But I do think I know you love Metroid. We argue about Metroid all the time, but I don't think anything can touch your love for Final Fantasy. I'm sorry. Dude, it's up there. It's up there, but I don't think it can touch your love.
I own just about every Metroid game, with the exception of the Japanese variants. Otherwise, though, I think I'm pretty close to a full set in the North American Super Metroid games. Right?
I think Metroid, the game, should have. It definitely the thing that hindered it is it didn't come with a map. Like the Zelda game came with a map. Right.
Oh, it didn't come with a pack-in map, right? Like a physical, like here's the game world. Yeah. I think that would have gone a long way. I mean, it still did very well, but when you go back and look at it, it's like, ooh, it's tough. It's definitely tough to go back and play.
No, I think so. I think actually it's funny. I was just thinking a couple of weeks ago, like one of the games I want to play for Saturday Morning Retro is I want to go back and play the original Metroid and beat it. With a map. since I could play Metroid on Nintendo Online, I want to go back, use the save states, and go back with a map and do it with a pair of fresh new eyes. So that's something that I definitely want to do. I don't know when I'll get a chance to do it, but it's definitely up there in games that I want to pick out of my backlog and play.
Dude, it's amazing. Even without the nostalgia, like you can go back and play it. It's a little bit rough, I'll tell you, because the controls are stiff. There is no in-game map. You can kind of screw yourself over a little bit in the game. There are, like the big thing is the long beam, right? The long beam Because you need like otherwise you like you don't have the long beam when you first start the game, right? You get a beam that goes across like a third of the screen, so you can barely hit anything. You need the long beam to be able to fire all the way across the screen and to get the hidden energy tank back in the one of the first beginning screens. But you can miss the long beam before you get the ice beam, and if you get the ice beam, you have a short ice beam, and if you go back to get the long beam, you lose the ice capability, but then you have the long beam, and you might as well restart the game at that point. All right, so there's definitely some stuff that can kind of screw you over. I think you can still beat the game without the ice beam, but it makes it like that much harder when you get to the part with Mother Brain and the Metroids. But they fixed all that, right? In like the subsequent games. Metroid 2 even better. Super Metroid, I think the pinnacle of the series, if you want my honest opinion. And I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
See, I didn't even know that because I never even made it that far.
Oh, yeah.
I never even made it that far, so I want to try it and try to beat it.
Nice.
But Dave, this is my favorite part of the show because this is the collector in me.
Oh, yes.
I want to know, did you have any good pickups for the month of August?
I did actually. So I think I mentioned on the regular show, the regular Rated G show, that my office was closing and all that. The company's still alive and kicking, but just the physical office space, we didn't need it anymore. So we got rid of a bunch of stuff, and I ended up getting some, because they're like, look, if anybody wants anything, like you can have it, and I got seniority at the company, so I got a bunch of chairs. And some really nice chairs, and kind of parse them out. And I gave you the monitor and all that, and and everyone seemed to be like super awesome. I could totally use this, and I'm happy to help everybody. So my friend Chris got one of the chairs. I was able to score a chair for him, and he's like, look, can I do anything for you? I got a bin of video games, and I said, yeah, you know that, yes, I will take some of these, and that will be awesome. Because I was just going to be like, buy me a beer the next time we can hang out and we're all good. But he's like, I got some video games. I said, even better.
I'm gonna let you finish. But you know what I would have said if that was me? I would have said, you can still buy me that beer, but I'll take the video games too, by the way.
There you go. Nice. So of that, I picked out a couple. Because a lot of them I had, he was an Xbox 360, Xbox One. He was kind of in that a bit. All of us owned Xbox 360s, right? We were all like Halo kids and all that. So that was like kind of our path. So out of that, I got the Halo 3 Special Edition, which is very nice. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz for the Wii. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, the Special Edition, which is very nice. And Genma Onimusha for the original Xbox.
Said it 10 times fast.
Genma Onimusha? Yeah, I could probably say it once clearly, very slowly.
What type of game is that? I didn't even heard of that. What game is that?
Onimusha? Yeah.
Genma Onimusha.
Genma Onimusha was a enhanced version of the original Onimusha on PlayStation 2, because that's what Xbox was trying to do. Is like, come on, we need your Japanese developers to put all your games on here and whatnot. So they had Genma Onimusha was a thing, and there was a big push from Sega to put games on there. It's essentially the original game, just with some additional bonuses, I think, and like a little bit of an up-res, because the Xbox was more powerful than the PS2.
I got to look in the collection because I probably have that. I didn't even. There's a lot of things I have in my collection.
I bet you do. It was a pretty common game. Yeah.
I thought I had all Onimusha games. So
yeah, I'll take a look.
I probably do. Okay.
So how about you? What have you picked up this last month or so?
So, as you may or may not know, the next game I'm going to play, beat, and talk about on the Saturday Morning Retro Show in September, and this is the first time we sort of I'm promoting a game I'm going to play. I'm in the middle of playing and going to play and beat and talk about is The Legend of Zelda.
Oh.
Okay, I'm just not I'm not nostalgic for Zelda because I never had it growing up, right? So
wait, you're saying you never played it growing up?
I never owned it growing up, and I maybe have played it at a friend's house, just a little bit. But I really have no, at least on the NES. I completely didn't play what was coined Zelda 3 on the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah, Link to the Past.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember looking at all the Nintendo Powers, and they're talking about Zelda 3.
Zelda 3, right? Because
Yeah.
that was the tentative name for it. Yeah,
Yeah, I've obviously played those games like as an adult, but I have no nostalgia for the original Legend of Zelda. So I've been playing that, and I'm going to talk about that next month because I haven't beaten it yet, and I still have a long way to go.
yeah.
But I also want to get into Zelda 2. I want to get into both Zelda games, and I wanted to get the manual. I wanted to like sort of go back in time and like, you know, have 10-year-old me play those games. Like I want to have the manual, I want to have the maps and all that stuff. So I have the manual for Zelda 1 and a map for Zelda 1. So I went out and I bought the manual for Zelda 2, Link's Adventure. So I have that. I got that for a good price, and it was here's the funny thing. The person I bought it from on eBay had like 20 different manuals for Zelda 2.
Oh my God, he's just hoarding them, right?
And he was selling them all, you know, all different conditions for different prices. So I bought one. I bought the one that was like in pretty good condition for one price. I get a message on eBay, and he says, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I no longer have that one. So whichever one you want, you pick, and I will honor that price." And I thought that was so cool. So of course I picked whatever the one was in the best shape.
Yeah, of course. Why would you not? Yeah.
And he kept his word, and he honored that price.
Wow, good deal.
So I think I saved like $3.
Right.
So I got that. I have no idea why I didn't have this in the collection earlier, but as soon as I found out I didn't have it in the collection, I rectified that. I got Bushido Blade 1 and 2 for PS1.
Ooh, those were very interesting games because they were like fighting games, but they were one-hit kill, more or less, fighting games.
Yes,
which was very interesting.
I remember playing this as a kid. I don't remember if I rented it from Blockbuster or maybe like some other rental store. I know I didn't own it, but I definitely played it at my house. I definitely played it, so I think I rented it, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. So I totally forgot about these games, and I was watching GameScoop, and they were talking, and I think Bushido Blade was like one of either the games that they were doing 20 questions about, or a game that they just randomly brought up to compare the game to, and I was like, oh, that game sounds so familiar. Why don't I own those games? So I went out and bought them, 1 and 2.
Nice. You got to get the one for PlayStation 2.
I think I have that already. I got to check.
You may. Yeah, it's not too hard to find, I don't think. Well, I remember them coming out with the third one.
Well, Bushido Blade 2 was kind of that wasn't. I mean, I got it for a good price, but it's not cheap. As far as what I thought it would be, right? So, I got Road Rash for the PS1. Also, didn't even know that came out on the PS1.
Road Rash 3D, right, or no?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
When I thought of Road Rash, I just think of Genesis because that's right. I have 1, 2, and 3 on a Genesis.
And it was like super cool on the Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a Road Rash 64 too, which is a little bit costly.
Yep.
So, well, speaking of Road Rash, I got Road Rash 2 and 3 on the Genesis. Just to throw that out there too. I brought those.
Nice.
I have Tiny Toon Adventures All Stars for the Genesis, which is a pretty good game. I have Teleboxer for the Virtual Boy. Got that just sort of at an early garage sale, and I got that like super cheap. And I was like, I don't think they know what they have, and it was like the only Virtual Boy game they had. So
that's like a diamond in the rough right there. I don't have any Virtual Boy games, and every time I watch a video on YouTube or someone talks about, you remember the Virtual Boy, I'm like, yeah, I should really check in on that, and then I don't buy anything.
You really should try to get some Virtual Boy games.
It's so expensive. You're not walking out. Expensive. You're not walking out with anything under like $30.
Well, that
even for the bad games.
Well, that's true.
Right.
I have Mario Clash in box for the Virtual Boy.
Nice.
As well. I got a bunch of.
I'm a little jealous.
I got a bunch of. I'm not gonna lie. I got a bunch of Virtual Boy games.
Well, there's only 15 North American games, so.
And I have 6 of them.
There you go.
I have Galactic Pinball.
I
have Mario Clash in box.
All right. You have Mario Tennis, I bet.
I have Mario Tennis.
You have the Wario game, right?
Virtual Boy Rock Wario Land, yes.
I knew it. And you probably have Waterworld too, is that right?
Waterworld is the most expensive. Is one of the most expensive.
Oh, is it?
Things.
Oh shit! Oh,
it's the game I want, but the game I can't I can't buy right now.
Okay, it's like that and Jack Brothers are like the two big ones. I forget.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you can
yeah.
get, and you can, and I think the Virtual Boy is region free, so you can buy Jack Brothers from another region a
Mm-hmm.
little bit cheaper. Yeah,
Right,
you can
right,
buy
right.
like the Japanese
And you could
version.
easily play it because there's like no text in there.
Yeah,
And it's such
and
a good game, apparently. Like,
so, and I just said it had Teleboxer, and I think everybody who has a Virtual Boy, even if you don't, even if it's the only Virtual Boy game you have this, which is Red Alarm.
oh my god, yeah, yeah.
So
Yep.
those are all six of my Virtual Boy games I own.
Well, there you go. You own like half the collection right there, right? You're almost done,
Yeah,
Dan.
yeah.
You're almost done.
So so I picked up Iron Man 2 for the DS. I do have Iron
Mm-hmm.
Man 2 already, but the DS, you remember back in those days when a handheld version came out, like for DS or PSP or the Game Boy, they are different games than the main game that came from the home console, right? Like it's
Oh
probably
yeah,
a side
yeah, yeah, yeah.
scroller type of beat 'em up or something like that. So
I
I
was
have
gonna
the Iron Man
ask, is
2.
this that? Is Iron Man 2 like a side
Yes.
scroller? It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a side scroller
Okay.
sort of superhero game. Test dummies for the SNES. I'm not gonna lie,
Crash
I got
Test Dummies?
inspired.
Crash Test Dummies, yeah.
I got inspired by angry video game nerd who
What
had an
I was gonna
episode
say.
about test dummies for the NES,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up looking it up, and the SNES game was a little bit better than the NES game, so I picked up the SNES game. So I have that. Metal Slug Double X for the PSP.
Mm-hmm.
This, do you want to know the reason why I bought this game? I bought this game because I was looking at limited run and they had Metal Slug Double X for the PS4 and it was sold out. And I said, "Is this a new game or something? Like what double
Nope.
like Double X? I didn't even know
Nope.
about this." Come to find out, this was like a PSP exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to find,
But you got
but
it.
I kept I for about 2 months. I kept sort of searching eBay and sort of put up my search parameters on eBay and stuff because I didn't want to buy this game just by itself. I definitely wanted to get the case with it, and I got a really good price. So persistence, like be patient and be persistent. Keep looking, and I found it. And as soon as it's funny because as soon as it popped up, I made an offer and got it. So as soon as he put it on eBay, he got me.
Mm-hmm. There
I
you
saw
go.
it.
Nice. Nice.
I got Captain America with the Avengers for the SNES.
Good game. Good game.
Good game. And the coup de grace to me is a game I thought I had, which is why I never bought it. I probably could have got a better price if I would have bought it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The Death in Return of Superman for the SNES.
Oh, that. You're right. That game, like when they were like the comics were gonna kill off Superman. Everyone was going bananas. Everybody bought
I
up
still have
that
those
comic.
comics, by the way.
Right? Everyone bought up that comic like this is the end of Superman. Like he's dead. You're gonna like kill him off. You can't. He's a cash cow. You can't kill off like the most iconic superhero of all time. Everyone knows Superman, right? How do you do that? And then like a few months later, the Return of Superman, right? That was the next comic that came out, and this game was like capitalizing off of that. Is it good? I haven't actually played it.
I haven't. I played a little bit of it on my Superboy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah.
On Superboy, I played a little bit of it. I always try to test these games when I buy it,
Right.
just to make sure they work right away.
That's good.
And I played a little bit of it, and you know, like I got to like the third stage, and then it's funny. I got to the third stage not really putting in any effort. I thought this game was. I was like, oh, this game is pretty good. It's funny because like we keep talking about how to make a Superman game. It's really hard to make a Superman game, and obviously this is like a beat 'em up. Superman was made for a beat 'em up game. I don't know why we didn't have more Superman beat 'em up games because like he's just like his moveset, his powers is just like made to have a beat 'em up game. We should have had like a trillion beat 'em up Superman games back in the day when we were growing up.
Of course.
So I liked it. So far I want to come back again. It's so many games, so many things take your attention. You know, I got all the maps for Zelda laid out on the table because I've been trying to play it and get through it and take notes.
Nice.
It takes up too much of my time. But I definitely want to get back to this game, and this may be a future Saturday morning retro game. As a matter of fact, I love having the pickups in, not just because a lot of our pickups are retro games anyway, but these are potential games that we could be playing for Saturday morning retro.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes sense. I let's shift gears. Let's get into what we call triple R: remaster, remake, or recycle, where we both pick a game and choose what should they do with this what should they do with this IP? Should they remaster it or remake it, or just recycle idea and come up with something new? And so far, I think I've picked a recycle and a remake. I haven't really picked a remaster,
Right.
and I've been really compelled because this is a game that's been on my radar, and also a game that I actually picked up this month. Funny enough, and when I was testing it to make sure it worked, I was like, "Oh, this is like pretty cool," and it sort of got me for a minute. I was just kind of like playing it all around. And I looked kind of crazy because I played it on my Game Boy Color, and I'm moving it all around because there's a gyroscope in it, and that is Kirby Tilt and Tumble.
Oh yeah, there was like a handful of GBC games that had the gyroscope in it, and it was super cool. This was definitely one of them. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right, so
and
you want to do like a remaster of this,
I want to do a remaster of this game. This game, first of all, the game came out in like a pink cart, right,
right?
with the
All right.
gyroscope inside. Definitely, if this game comes out I'm saying they should remaster this for the Switch, right, and put out a pink cart too. Kirby games should have pink carts. I think it's different. It's cute.
Yeah.
I kind of dig it, and it stands out.
Hmm.
You don't have to do too much to this game, and I think this game would fit so much perfect. It would fit so good on the Switch, especially because the Switch already has. First of all, you
It
don't
has
have
the
to
built-in
put
gyro
a gyro. Yeah,
control.
you don't have to put a gyroscope in the cart because then
Right.
the cart wouldn't even fit in the. It wouldn't even
in
fit in the
the
Switch.
in the little slot. Yeah, yeah.
But you have it on the Switch. You can move the Switch around and try to move around and stuff. And you only the thing I don't like about this game, and I'm not trying to review the game, but the thing I don't like is that you shake and that sort of jump. Kirby jumps when you shake the system, right? And maybe sort of fix that a little bit because I would rather just jump by pushing an A button, which you have to do if you get stuck somewhere like in a hole.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is like a perfect game for a remaster, especially if Nintendo is not putting out anything else this month. I mean, this for the rest of the year because we haven't heard anything. We haven't gotten a real proper Nintendo Direct.
Right, right. That's a whole nother ball of wax that we can get into sometime. But
Yeah,
sure.
but
Sure.
I think just to utilize the Switch for its fullest capability, and Switch, you know what, the Switch Lite too. This is a perfect game that you could play on a regular Switch. You could play on the Switch Lite. You don't have to worry about Joy-Cons or anything like that, and you could just move Kirby around. And you know what? If you want to say you want to put this in dock mode and put it on a TV, and you could just use the Joy-Con to move Kirby around, you could do that too. That it works perfectly. I wouldn't change much about this game. Just I think this game is pretty, and it gets pretty difficult. The further you get into the levels, so I don't think you need to change much about this game. I don't think it needs a remake. And definitely don't need to recycle that idea because I don't think I think the idea still fits in today's world. So
Mm-hmm.
I would remaster Kirby, Tilt, and Tumble.
Nice, nice. All right. So my game is it's an oldie but a goodie from a little company called Psygnosis. All right, who birthed such great games as the Wipeout franchise. Right, and this company eventually got bought up by Sony. Right, so they own all the rights to all the stuff.
Kind of biased a little bit.
Well, I mean, they produced a game series, right, which had multiple iterations called Lemmings, and I want to remaster the OG Lemmings, right? The puzzle game where you take these cute little blue suited, green haired creatures, right? I think it was right. And you have to guide them to the exit using, I think the original had like 8 to 10 different abilities, right? And you could kind of dig and bomb and block and create stairs, and you had to save like a certain amount, and there was a ton of levels, and keep getting like they kept getting like more and more difficult as you like went on. So I want just a remaster of this game, right? You don't need to remake it or whatever. Just make it on modern hardware. Put it on the Switch, put it on like PC. I'm sure they could work out, the UI, and just, give me all the classic levels. I want to be able to play them just with, enhanced visuals, enhanced sound. I love it. The game had so much charm for what it was, and the little like 320 by 240 screens of like the Apple IIe and DOS and the Amiga. But man, that game was so good. So good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we take a break? And then when we come back, we'll get into the games we've been playing out of our backlog. And we're back. All right, let's talk about the games that we've been playing out of our backlog. I chose for this month to dive deep into Watchdogs, and not just Watchdogs, but Watchdogs on the Wii U, the original Watchdog.
Oh, interesting.
Listen, I got to be honest. I don't think this game is as bad as people said it was. All right. So I remember when this first came out, this game sort of, because it was like cross-generational. This game came out for PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, X1, and the Wii U, which came out 6 months later, because it originally came out May 27th, 2014, and then for the Wii U, it came out November 18th of 2014.
Right.
Open world. Well, it's an open world action adventure game where you're hacking, right? You're hacking everything. This was like the big new next gen game from Ubisoft. Ubisoft published this game, and Ubisoft Montreal developed it. I didn't really get into it back in the day. I do have it on the PS4, and I played a little bit of it in the PS4 when it first came out, but I kind of got started playing other things on the PS4.
Yeah.
Around that time when it first came out, I think Batman came out around this time. If I'm not mistaken, I probably got caught up with
one of the
else.
Batmans. Yeah. Maybe maybe Origins.
Arkham Knight. No.
Arkham Knight, maybe? Arkham Knight may have been around this time. I thought that was 2015.
It could have been Origins.
Yeah.
So
I do remember, personally, I remember playing this at one of the conventions, right? Because it was like a big thing. It was a brand new IP for Ubisoft. They like really wanted this to like come out of the gate, be like gangbusters, be a whole new franchise, like, Assassin's Creed in the modern world, I think was kind of their like idea, right? It was like, how do we make a modern day like assassin in some way? And they're like, well, we could do like the hacker, right? The modern day hacker, just kind of slick and running around this open world. And
well, this is sort of like a GTA light, right? Like you can jump in any car, but it's GTA with hacking. That's essentially what it is, because you can jump in any car. You can't go into any establishment or anything like that, but you can sort of hack all the NPCs that are just walking around. And I think it's cool because when you're hacking, you can see you could see how much that person has in a bank, and you take that money. You can see how much that person is worth, or like how much they make as a salary, their name, and just little things about them. And I was just like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. I kind of dig this. Graphically on the Wii U, I gotta be honest, feels like I'm playing a 360 game. Graphically, it's just the same. It feels like a sort of a last gen game.
Yeah, and
current gen game.
I think it should, because like this was at a time when the Wii came out, the Wii was not about graphics. The Wii was about a brand new way to play, and they kind of carried that over to the Wii U with less success, but that was like kind of their MO. And they by the time the Wii U came out, they just dipped their toe into high definition. And even then it was still like, yeah, it's kind of like a low powered version of the other consoles you have. So,
well, the cool thing about this is the biggest difference with GTA, like in GTA, when you want to get in a car, you just open the car. This is a random car, right? You just open the car, and if there's someone in the car, you open the car and you pull them out. And in this, you actually break the window to open the car. And
right, because everyone's gonna have the door locked, right?
Yeah, and if someone sees you breaking into the car, they're going to call the cops.
Of course. Why would they not?
And that's the big thing about this, because you have to escape the cops if the cops are called. So it shows you like the person that's like calling the cops, and you can stop that person from calling the cops if you want. All right. But then you become a criminal, kind of like your reputation goes down, and you do have to keep your reputation. You do have a reputation in this game. So, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I always think it's easy to outrun the cops, to be honest. Just keep going straight. Just don't crash. Try to do your best to get around, and you can hack the traffic lights. So you can make it green, and then all the cars come in and try to stop the cops or anybody if anybody's chasing you. So I think that's pretty cool. And the music is actually real world music. I was just playing it.
Oh, they got some licensed tracks in there?
Yeah, I was playing. I was like just riding the car, and I was like, this song sounds so familiar. And I was like, this is from
like
2014.
GTA. Just like GTA.
Yeah, I can't turn the radio off though. At least I haven't figured out a way to turn the radio off because sometimes
that's weird. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't, I'm just skipping through songs. I don't want to hear any of these songs. And it's not the biggest selection in the world, but like sometimes I just don't want to have any music on. I want to have sort of like a podcast. I want to listen to G for Gamers.
Sure.
So, selfless plug right there.
So, for our own podcast. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for our own podcast. Of course. Right. So, that part I didn't like, but I like that you could steal. I for that reason is the reason why I steal motorcycles.
Because they don't have the radio built in. That's funny.
It's funny, and it's easier to navigate when you're like, especially being chased by the cops.
Oh, you can kind of like weave in and out of traffic and all that.
Yeah, but I would say you don't have a choice when you have to do sort of escort missions where it's like
you got to follow the.
You're the driver, like you're pretty much the driver, like
you can do like two people on like a motorbike. That's a thing.
No, the car is ready for you, and he's in the back seat.
Oh, so he's not going to get out and go on the bike. He goes, this is my mission.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a criminal, and they got checkpoints, and you got to get us out of here.
Oh, right? I see. Well, you know what? That actually like kind of makes sense because you're a little more concealed inside the car, so it's hard to make out who the person is. So I can kind of buy that.
Just don't, and it's easy if you're being chased. Just don't don't go on that highway, because if you go on a highway, it's not easy to lose anybody, like cops or bad guys.
It's just a straight road. Where are you gonna go?
Too.
Yeah, it's a straight road.
Yeah, I try to to go into like the ditch roads or whatever to try to lose them, and it's pretty easy to lose them. Like if it's easy to lose them if you steal a car, but it's a little bit harder to lose them if it's like the mission itself is to lose the cops, right?
Right.
So so I play story. I play games for stories for the most part, and I love my stories. And this is a revenge story, and I know a lot of people weren't happy with the sort of revenge story that they were telling.
Sure,
but people made it out that they didn't like the revenge story. It was too dark in nature. That's why they made Watchdogs 2 a little bit light in nature.
Yeah, it had a bright color palette. It was set in California. Like it was almost a 180 visually.
I don't have a big problem with the revenge story in this. I mean, yes, it is the story is dark because they did sort of kill your family, and you're trying to figure out who this mystery hacker is, right? Who sort of put the hit out on you.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that.
I just think the way they told the story could have been better. I just wasn't engaged I am a little bit confused on who they killed throughout the game. I was like, was this my daughter? Was this my wife? Did my daughter die? Like, I was confused on who actually died. That's just me. Maybe I missed a cutscene because
I think you may have missed the cutscene. Ubisoft is definitely good with the exposition and the details, and this is the house that built Assassin's Creed, right? Like they definitely know how to weave a story.
So I just think they told the story in such a weird way, an awkward way, where they definitely needed an Amy Hennig in here to tell a better story, a more compelling story. Because I didn't feel at any point, his pain at any point. Like everyone kept telling me to let it go, and I wanted to let it go. to be honest with you, there was just nothing in here compelling that was pushing me. There was nothing compelling that. And I get when people say there was nothing there. The main character's name is Aiden. There was nothing that made me really sort of sympathize with it, and all they did was kill my family, and it's like, well, I need to find out who, but everyone's telling me I should let it go.
I definitely have heard some criticism that the main protagonist is a little bit flat in the emotion department.
I like the idea of Aiden, I just didn't like the execution.
Fair enough.
Of Aiden.
Fair enough. What I'm actually Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm just saying. So I thought the overall story arc was weak.
Mm-hmm. What I'm actually very curious about, because you played it on the Wii U, right? You played it on the technically inferior version out of all four of the other possible systems, right? But you do get the one unique thing of the Wii U, which is the gamepad. Like, how did they implement that and incorporate that into the game, right? Because you have like a cell phone and all these things you can do like hacking on and this and that. Like, did they like use it for that?
No, they didn't implement anything
What?
other than a map.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
And it is terrible. It's a, you know what? It's not terrible. It's a missed opportunity.
It is very much a missed opportunity.
Because in this game you have connections and you can order a car, right? And have like a car selection, and you can have a skill tree where you can upgrade your hacking skills, and all of that you can do in the options menu, which should have been on the second screen at all times. That's something I can flip through so it doesn't take me out of the game. And they just have the map on there, so I always have to pause the game, go in the menu system, go into settings, and upgrade my skills. But I can't upgrade my skills while I'm playing the game, which is definitely a missed opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
So why did they delay it for 6 months? Who knows?
Well, that it must have been in a really bad state, and they were just like, we need to get performance up and running. And even that is like, it's still mixed performance. Like, I was like taking a look at some reviews on it, and they were like, it's kind of a mixed bag performance wise.
I mean, listen, does the game hold up today? It's definitely, I would say, if you play it today, it definitely holds up somewhat. It's not terrible to play.
Okay.
Right. What excited me the most about playing this game when I actually chose I was like, I want to play Watchdogs this month. I was super excited to be able to hack anything. Right. Like, just I wanted to see how far they would take the hacking, and they definitely, I can't hack everything, but I definitely like seeing a little tidbits about people around, just random people around, see how much they're worth. Oh, this person's a football coach, or this person is a teacher. Like they definitely have a backstory, even if it's minor backstory for each NPC in the game. The thing I didn't really like about the game, the least thing I liked about the game, is the start of side missions. When you want to build your reputation as like a hacker that's like helping the people, you start a mission, you get to the area, you don't know what's going on, right? You don't know what's happening. You just know it's a crime that's about to be committed. So the first thing you do is you hack into a camera so you can look around and see what the hell's going on. And I'm hacking in the camera because the camera's everywhere. So I'm hacking the camera. You could be in front of the building, hack into like 3 different cameras. Now you're in the back of the building and you see a crime going on. And it's like, oh, this person's about to get robbed. Before you can even get out of the camera to run behind there, that person is shot. Now they're telling you let the person die. And I'm like, give me some time.
Right? I need at least a couple seconds to assess the situation and then act on it. Sure.
Yeah, give me some time. Let me see that person is, like, say, oh, this person looks suspicious. This person, let's do facial recognition. This person is known to be robbing people. So I know this person may be robbing someone. Give me time to go around and stop it. So every time you stop a bad guy, like in a side mission, it's always the same thing. It's a little bit repetitive. You chase them for a long period of time because you're chasing them. And no one's calling the cops, which I thought was weird because you see me breaking into a car from across the street, but you see someone running and shooting at me and you're not calling the cops. A little weird. Definitely takes you out of immersion a little bit. You take out your baton, you beat the person down, and then that person disappears. You have, you've stopped, you've captured the bad guy and your reputation goes up. I do like, but I do like, it's in Chicago. This game takes place in Chicago. They have a subway system.
Not a lot of games take place in Chicago.
That is true, and
that, right?
That was like the big thing when the game was first announced. It's like, it's in Chicago, and everybody was like, "Oh wow!" Right? No game is ever in Chicago. Greg Miller, Bears fan, is from Chicago, so who's excited about the game?
Dude, it's a great city. They have some of the best cuisine. It's just a little bit cold up there, but my God, why can't games be set in Chicago? Like, it's got such a good history.
And they have a subway system, which, again, pro tip, if you're trying to get away from the cops, if they don't have a helicopter, just run into the subway station, jump on the tracks, and just run until they forget about you.
Nice.
But you can just jump on the subway and just ride the subway around the city. Or once you get on the subway, look at a train map and you can do fast travel on that. You can't do it if the cops are looking for you, though, just so you know.
That makes sense, because it'd be easy to like warp somewhere where the cops aren't, right?
Yeah. So just jump on the tracks and run until they forget about you.
Nice.
Just jump on the tracks and run until they forget about you. So just to give you just to give you a little insight on the review for the Wii U version, Metacritic score is 62. User score is 6.5.
Okay, so they're like pretty in line, right? 60,
pretty in line.
60, 65%. Yeah. Question is, what would you give that game?
If I had to give this game a score, I would give it a 7.5.
Mm-hmm. And we have to note, if people are saying, what happened to the Dave scale? Not that we're retiring the Dave scale, but for these games, we are rating these games now on a 10-point scale. We are legitimizing our reviews. We are on a 10-point scale with like half marks. So Dan is definitely giving this game a 7.5 out of 10. From everything
it's on the low end, right?
Sure.
Like that would count for this. It's a 7.5. It's not a bad game by any means.
7.5. Yeah.
It's a game that was ambitious in nature, that just didn't hit execution. Right? Like the story could have been better. Mm-hmm. I definitely really was digging the overall arc of it, what it wanted to be. It just didn't hit the marks for me. And I'm not a big stealth game fan, and there are certain missions on the mainline story that you can't avoid, that have to do stealth, and you have to use your hacking, which I think is good. That part is good, but there are certain things where you have no other option but stealth to go through.
Right.
So, before we move on, just so you know, the thing that I thought was cool, at least I would have thought it was cool in the back in the day when it first came out. If people are online, they can hack into your game and steal your resources. Oh,
interesting. Did you have that? Did you have that happen in your game?
Because someone was online and hacked into my game and stole my resources. You have to find them and essentially kill the NPC or beat them down or whatever before they steal the resources. Because if they steal the resources and then you kill them, it doesn't matter. So
wow,
I thought that was pretty cool, at least for the time.
I am amazed that there is still a Watchdogs community on the Wii U, and that you got to experience one of the neater aspects of the game, right? Like someone coming into your game.
Hey, listen, there's still people playing Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah, man, I know.
Back in the day, right?
Right.
It's always going to be a community for everything. Sure. There's going to be people that don't want to let it go.
Sure. So my game is one of my favorite games of all time. If you go back and listen to our top 10 episode, top 10 games of all time, you will know that this game is in there. And that is Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen.
Ooh, say that 10 times fast.
Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen. The OG game that started it all, that started the mini franchise. We haven't seen a game in this franchise for a long while. This game came out in March 12th, 1983 in Japan, May 15th, 1995 in North America, developed by Quest, published by NX America, which has now been absolved into Square. They are now Square Enix. It is Enix of Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior fame. So definitely coming from a long pedigree of very quality titles, especially in Japan, some of the best-selling games of all time. It came out on the Super Nintendo, right? And it's a tactical RPG. It's a real-time tactical RPG. It is a real-time tactical RPG. That is the most succinct way to describe this game. I played this game on the Super Nintendo Classic. That was my platform of choice because it's just easy. I sideloaded a bunch of ROMs on there, and it's got save states. And I'll explain why.
I was just about to ask you. I was like, when you told me you played on SNES Classic, I didn't think nothing of it until just now. I was like, I don't think I have this on my NES, on my SNES Classic.
No, I sideloaded a bunch of games on there, Dan. Okay. That's what you got to do, yeah. And so it's great. If you use Hatchi 2, it just adds a little folder to the end of the thing, other games, and then I have a ton of other games in there. I got Turtles in Time and Wild Guns, Ogre Battle, the other Final Fantasy games that aren't on here. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, but this game, if I'm not mistaken, this game was like really expensive now, right? I think this game was really expensive back in the day too, because they didn't put out a lot of issues.
Well, I think the game was like close to $80 when it originally came out, because it was at least a 16 meg, if not a 24 meg cart, and that was insane. Because like this was in Japan, 1993, right? It was only a couple of years after the SNES like launched, and it took a little bit to come to North America, but that was like part of the reason why it was so expensive. The game is huge. Right, there's a lot going on in this game. The graphics are like amazing. So if you want to like try and get this game now, yeah, it is hella expensive.
2 years after this was released, this game, because they only put out 29,000 copies in North America.
Right.
So this game was like over like $150 back in '97, and now it's like $180.
Yep, for like a loose copy, right? Like, it's not even like an inbox with like all the manuals and everything. Like,
I think I found this. I think they said in '97, complete version of this was like $170.
Yeah. No. I mean,
now it's going to be way more for a complete version.
I know.
Yeah.
I really just have to bite the bullet and buy this game because it didn't get any cheaper.
I know you really. This is your type of game.
It's the well, it is. Yes, I love this game. It is in my top 10. I mean, I said that before. It's in my top 10. The thing about this game that kind of makes it so unique is that I think Westerners, I mean, I don't think anybody really saw a game like this before. It was like you basically get a giant army, right? And you have these small unit formations, right, of like up to 5 units. And you can kind of mix and match humans and monsters and Amazons and clerics and fairies and Cerebuses. There's at least 50 to 60 different unit class types or whatever that you can kind of like mix and match and put together. And you think like, oh, I want to put the dog with this thing, and this is kind of cool, and I like this and all that. But like, how you form the units makes a big difference, right? So like, take for example a wizard, right? Wizards are evil in this world, right? So
no way, wizards are evil.
They're not always evil. Like Gandalf was a good wizard, right? And Gandalf is a wizard, right? It depends on the world, right? But like wizards across the board are generally like neutral to evil, right? And clerics are like good, clerics are, they're part of the church and the whatever, and they do healing. And so like you put a wizard with the healer, they're gonna fight, and they're not gonna have good like synergy, all right? And that is ultimately the draw of the game, right? So you want to put like-minded units together, right? Units that have a similar alignment, units that have a similar terrain type, right? If you have units that like work well in the mountains, you want to put units that, other units that work well, like walking over mountain terrain and whatnot. If you have
sounds
a flying
like a
unit,
complicated game for the kids in the SNES.
Oh my God! Well, yes,
this is like a super complicated game.
It is.
You're like, listen, wizards are evil. You got to put units together. You got to make sure you have the right units for the right parts, the right battles.
Like this is like kind of part of the reason. Like when you first start playing this game, it is complex as hell. You're like, I don't know what's going on, but it seems real interesting. And the sound is on point. The graphics are amazing. You're like, all right, I'm drawn in. And then you start learning the mechanics a little bit, and then you start learning more and more of the systems, and you're like, wow. And it either hooks you or it doesn't, right? Like, you're like, yes, I'm about this, or no, I'm not about this, right? And in general, the fans were about it. The critics were definitely about it, right? The reception was really good. It was good enough to make 2 sequels, right? They made Tactics Ogre and Ogre Battle 64. They made a remaster of the original for PlayStation 1, which is a little bit cheaper, I think, because they made a ton more copies of it. There was also a Saturn release that was remade only in Japan. So, they definitely had a good thing going there, right? Well, and I'll admit it's not a game for everybody, but
one of the biggest differences, like as far as RPGs, is separated from other RPGs back in the day, it was like they don't just put you in like you don't just choose a class, right? Like
right.
Like they ask you a bunch of questions at the beginning of the game.
Yes, and like that determines what your hero character is, right? So how you answer the questions, right? If you answer them in like a negative, greedy way, you'll turn into like an evil lord, right? If you answer them justly, or what you think is justly, like you may end up getting like a good hero, right? And you'll have different abilities like based on that, right? And like that's kind of neat, and that kind of like sets you off in your adventure. Then you get an army, and then you basically start like building. You build your army, and you can kind of modify your army, and like that bit is the thing, right? That's the cookie crunch center of this game, is building your army. Right. And you really like, so how the game like plays out, I guess. How the game.
Well, you have to keep up a good reputation too, right? Like that was sort of like
you don't have to. Well, the interesting thing about it is you can play the game in like 2 different ways, right? You can be good or you can be bad in the game, and there's constantly a reputation meter in the upper right hand corner, which gauges whether you're doing good actions or bad actions. And you can be bad in the game, and you get benefits to being bad. Like you can get certain characters because you're bad, right? They like align with your views, and they're like, all right, I'll join you, right? Ideally, you want to be good though. That was like kind of one of the downsides to the game, is that you pretty much want to be good, because there's way more good heroes that you can get on your side if you end up going down the good route. So I guess that's like one of the knocks against the game, but like basically like how it like plays out is, immediately when you start the game, you answer questions, you figure out who your hero is, and you get thrust into a map, right? It's an overworld map, and you can kind of like move your guy around tactically to different areas. You can liberate like villages, right? And every time you like liberate a village, you get like reputation. And you also get like income, right? Because you get there's a cost to your army, right? You want to put units out and whatever, and cost money, right? Someone's got to fund your army, so you have to like liberate towns to get like money to fund your army, right? So and then you end up going up against this like guy Warren, right? And then you fight him, and you're like, all right, you learn how the game is played. And then Warren's like, all right, I'll join you, and then here's your army. Right, so then you get to like customize your army if you want, and then like the game like really begins, and you can have like X amount of units, and you basically have to like push into the enemy's base to like overtake the boss and then win that territory, and then you're basically like taking that land back for your like people, right? And that's what the whole entire game is, like rinse repeat.
But this is a game that it didn't have. I thought this game didn't have save states. All right, could you not save this game? Do you have to play it through?
Well, that's like kind of interesting, because the battles themselves are long. Like they're like a minimum like an hour to get through like just one battle, right? So it's not like a quick pick up and play 2-minute, 5-minute round or whatever it is, right? Like you're going to be in it for a little bit, and you want to, position your guys accordingly and move them around and all that. And you couldn't save during the battle. So once you entered the battlefield, you either had to like finish it or just say, fuck it. I'm just gonna, I can't really do this right now, and just like turn the machine off. So like if you want to talk about some things that didn't necessarily age well, that is definitely one of them. I'm not sure if that's in the PlayStation 1 version. Possibly they may have added that as like a quality of life improvement, but yeah, that was like definitely one of the downsides. Like you can save after your battle, right? After you win or possibly lose, then you can kind of save and whatever. That's like kind of your in between time. You can do what you want. But yeah, like if you start a battle like and you have to be somewhere in a half an hour, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Yeah, and it's like if I had to say some negatives about the game, and I guess this kind of goes back to the long battles, there is not a lot of music tracks in this game. There's maybe like 20 at best. For a large scale tactical RPG, that's pretty bad. All right, and considering that the battles last at least like a half an hour to an hour, you were listening to the same 2-3 minute track over and over again.
So you got the song stuck in your head.
Exactly.
Over and over. That's funny.
Right? And they're like good songs, but no. After like 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm good. I can't. So
well, there you go. You can listen to Rated G for Gamers podcast while you play Ogre Battle.
That's right. That's right. So that kind of coupled with the lack of saving, right? The lack of saving during your like game. You can't just be like, I want to resume this later, which like all other tactical RPGs more or less like had, right? I think like now it's like standard, like you can just like quit out of the battle or quick save or whatever it is. So, you know, that's like a good quality of life improvement. But yeah. And I guess like again, I think I kind of mentioned it before. The big draw for me is building my army. All right. And I know you're shaking your head. You're like, I want to spend time like actually doing stuff, right? You want to get in there and mix it up, right? But like to me, like I think it's like super cool that I can kind of like put these different things together and get a different chemistry out of it, right? And I really think like that's the draw of the game, right? And you can do stuff on the battlefield. You can kind of move like different individual units between different like groups, right? You can kind of do that. You can hire new units if you like liberate a town, and you need some extra units. You can go ahead and pick those people up. But like really you want to have your like team set ahead of time. Here's the guys I'm bringing into battle. And, you know, I'm going to kind of, all right, well, here's my good units. Here's my bad units. I'm going to match them up accordingly so that, like, they get the proper stat bonuses. And, like, that just, like, fires on all cylinders for me. Like, that's you know, that's my jam.
But this game is so old. It didn't get a Metacritic score.
It did not. It did not get a Metacritic score. This was very much pre-Metacritic, yeah. But they do have a Metacritic user score, which is nice, which is like 8.3, which to me I feel is a little bit low, right?
Wow, wait, low?
Yeah, 8.3 is a little bit low for this game.
For an SNES game that you can't save during long battles that takes like an hour and a half. Minor
gripe. This game in my eyes, on the new revised 10-point scale, is a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow, this is like fantastic.
It is very much fantastic. The 0.5 deduction is because of the repetitive music, and the lack of the save, and the kind of, it's not really worth being like bad in the game, right? You know, you're better off being a good guy because you get so much more benefit.
Wait, let me ask you, did you played this game when it first came out?
I did. Mm-hmm. I rented it so many times from Blockbuster.
Do you think you may have sort of nostalgia goggles on when it comes to this game?
A little bit. That may account for that may account for like a 0.5 bump.
Gotcha.
But
right.
the game legitimately, and I think I can step back and say this objectively, is the game has a lot of good quality of life things. There are a lot of a lot of UI UX elements in there that it's like, oh yeah, that's like kind of smart. At a time when like you didn't really have games like this, right? Or if you did, they were relegated to the PC with a mouse and keyboard, right? They were very deep D&D style games. But you were doing this on like a Super Nintendo console, So you kind of have to give credit where credit is due, right? There's all these like little things that you're like, oh, and even to like this day, I find out small little things about the game, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you could do that. It's crazy. So yes, it has some shortcomings. Yes, it has a lack of music in there, but oh man, does this game hold up? Like if you need like a tactical RPG, if you want like a nice deep story, if you want to sit there and like tinker with armies and build your force and like take over the Zenobia, all right, this is your game. This is your game, and I give it a 9.5. So
okay, cool. Mm-hmm. I would give it 0 because it's a game
it's not your jam. It's not your jam. Play. I trust me. I knew going into this like review of it, right? This kind of like look back. Dan is not going to be about this game, and I would never be like, hey Dan, you have to like play this game, and I will be the first one to admit that it is for a certain type of person, 100%. This is definitely not for everybody. It's very stat heavy. There's a lot of non-action, but I don't know. I dig it. It just it's good stuff. And I think on that note, we're gonna close out episode 4 of the Saturday Morning Retro Podcast. We want to thank all of our fans for doing all the wonderful stuff that you guys do. And if you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. Check out all of the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.